The state is one of the most important features in React. The state is going to reload your application when something changes. So let me show you how this is going to work. You can see, for example, that we have this, and then if you add an amount, and then you add the months to repay, we have this calculate. From this, when you click here, the state is going to change. So this is going to display this component, and then it's going to display this other component because the state is changing in JavaScript. So let me show you a tool that we're going to install. We're going to use React. And for example, here on the app, let me reload this again. So here on React, you can see that we have this state. And then, for example, if you add the amount, and then, for example, you add the months to repay, you can see you can click here on calculate. This is going to change the state. You can see that we have this, and then it's going to change this again, and then we have the other component that is going to be displayed. The state is really important in React, and let's see how this is going to work. You can see, for example, that we have this state right here. First, we need to read the values from the inputs. If you remember, I say that you have to use document.querySelector, and then at the end you use .value to access the input information. In this case, it's going to be a little different because you can see we have this handle change right here. And then let me add read form data. So we're going to use something like const. We're going to use name equals to e.target.value. And then you console log the name. So this e must be passed right here into the function. So you can save this and open the project. And then when you type something, you can see that we have the values right here. We need to do the same right here. So you can see that we have something like this. So this is how you are going to read the values with e.target. But then we need to pass this into the state. So you can see that when we created this class component, we have this state right here. So we're going to create two properties. Something really important is the state is going to be an object always. Always is going to be an object. So we're going to create the properties. And normally, the state, of course, based on the application needs, must be started with some information, or maybe it's going to be started empty. In this case, it's going to start empty. So we're going to use amount, and it's going to be empty. And then we're going to use the term for the repay. And this is going to be empty also. So you can see that we create this state. So for example, if you save this, we need to install this extension that is called React. So you're going to find this on Window, then extension. And here on the left, you're going to click here on extensions. And then at the bottom, open the Chrome Web Store. This extension is called React Developer Tools. So it's going to be this one, offered by Facebook. So you can install this extension. So once you install the extension, you're going to find this new panel that is called React. And you can see, for example, let me open the project and let me open React right here, that we created this state into the form component. So we're going to click here, and now you can see we can display the different components. So you have form right here, and now you can see that we have this state right here. Something really important is that React is going to track all the changes that you made into the state. So let me show you something. Right here on between the render and the return, I'm going to extract some contents from the state. So for example, let me add a const. We're going to use some destructuring, and we're going to add the amount equals to this dot state. So this is going to apply some destructuring to the state. With the amount, you can see the name is going to be the same. And here on the label, we're going to use the curly braces, and we're going to pass amount, because remember, this is going to be HTML, but with this syntax, we tell React that we want to use some JavaScript. So if you save this, and then, for example, let me open the form right here, you can see that we have the state right here, the amount. And if you change this, you can see that we have the number right here. So every time that you make a change, any change right here, React is going to track these changes, and it's going to reload only this part in your project. So for example, if you change this to another text, all the changes are going to be made in this part. So let me show you how we're going to put this information into the state, because we need to move the values from the inputs to the state. So you can see that this is going to be an object. And normally, for example, if you add in the console, when we started working with objects, we add something like cons, and let me add something like language, and then we use something like this. So we create the object, and then we're gonna add a property that is called name, and then we add JavaScript. Hit enter. You can see when I type language, we have name JavaScript. And normally you are going to override an object with language.name equals to, let me add something like JavaScript ES6. And the next time that you type language, you can see that we override the values. If you try to add something like this to the state, so for example, you add this.state .amount equals to the name. So let me save this again. Let me open React, and you click here on the components, you click here on the form, and then you try to change this. You can see that this is not working. Actually, this is not the recommended way, and you should avoid to change the state like this. Instead, you are going to update the state with a function that is called setState. So first, let me add right here a destructuring. So we're going to use name, values. We access the name property. The name property is going to be this name right here. So you can see that we added name, then we have amount. It's going to be this. This one says months, and you can see that we have term right here. So let me change this to term. So these names in the name should match to the state. So we have name and value that comes from eTarget, and we're going to remove this value. So we're going to read the context from here. And let me show you something. You can console log this always. For example, value. And this is going to read the value from the inputs. So this is going to be the code. Open the console. And then when you start typing something, you can see that we have the values. Also in this part, this is going to work fine. But we need to track also the item that we are passing. So for example, if you pass name right here, this is going to update the amount, or it's going to display the amount, and this is going to display the term. So you can see that we have this update state. As I said, you have to use dit.setState, and then we're going to use the square brackets, we're going to use name, and we're going to pass the value. So we're going to save this, and we're going to open React. Let me open the form. So you can see we have amount and term. So for example, if you add something here, now you can see we have updated the state with the amount. And if you change this, now you can see that we changed the term right here. Something really important is, for example, here on the amount, you can see when I start typing this, it's going to display this. Because remember, React is going to track the state, and it's going to update this. And this is being updated because if you remember, I have this amount right here. So we're using this extract. We're going to using this destructuring for the state, and it's going to display the amount. So this is something really important, the state in React. So let me remove this part. I'm going to keep this one because we're going to work with this part in just a little. But you can see that here, if I open the form again, you can see that we are updating the state and everything is working fine. So this is going to be one of the most important topics in the development of or in React development. So now you can see that we have this handle change. And if you take a look here on the finished project, let me reload this. You can see that this button is disabled. So let's see how we can validate a form in React in the next video.